YouTube, what is going on? Happy holidays and welcome to another episode of the Maverick Files here on the MoneyShift YouTube channel. Today, we have hit 5,000 miles. So not only are we going to go over a summary of how those 5,000 miles have been, what I've liked, what I haven't liked, etc., but we're going to answer some of your questions that you chimed in on our community post last night. So without further ado, here are the keys. And let's take a walk around. Oh my goodness. Is he doing it again? Yes, I'm doing it again, okay? Because we are 70 subs away from that 2,000 sub goal, and that's crazy. That's something that I didn't even think was possible, but here we are. The holidays are winding down, and we have the chance to make it happen. So I appreciate all the support, and if you're liking these videos, consider hitting that sub button. Alrighty, as we step outside of the vehicle, we get our first viewer question. Mr. Sido asks, I'd like to know if you think the tow package is worth getting for someone who's not really going to tow anything. Now, for $745, you get that 7-pin connector, you get a trailer hitch, you also get a transmission oil cooler, high-capacity radiator, upgraded cooling fans, upgraded drive ratio, and an integrated trailer brake controller. Now, what I would say for someone who wouldn't tow at all, for an additional $55, you can just get the FX4 off-road package. That gives you these wheels and tires, which I think look mega and are worth the price alone, but it also gives you the heavy-duty engine cooling fan and the heavy-duty radiator, which are the two big things that you kind of sort of want if you're going to be using this truck a lot. The things that you don't really need if you're not going to be towing is that change drive ratio and the transmission oil cooler. So why not just spend an additional $55 and get the 17-inch black wheels, which look mega, the exposed front tow hooks, which look awesome, the hill descent control, which is nice, and you also get a trailer hitch receiver and the cooling and the radiator, which is great. And we are parked directly under the sun, which leads us to our next question. Adam says, a different review had mentioned windshield glare caused by the dash being reflective. Have you noticed this problem? And what I will say is this specific portion of the dash definitely reflects sun very well. Like, it gets a lot brighter than the rest of the dash. What I will say, though, is that even though this part of the dash reflects it more than anything else, it has never gotten into my eyes or been sort of a pain as I've been driving. It's never happened that way, which has definitely been nice. But what I will say is there is a slight reflection on the dash. Dennis asks, does your radio freeze up? And he also asks our next question, so I'll repeat his message again. And what I will say is this infotainment is just like any other. While it is a Sync 3 system, and I wish it was Sync 4, while it does have glare in direct sunlight, which is a bummer, it doesn't really freeze up. At least my specific model doesn't. It's only happened once or twice, and that isn't outside of the norm for infotainment systems. In all other vehicles that I've had, the infotainment has freezed or hard reset at various points. But Dennis' second question is probably a bigger one, where he says, I wonder your build date, some problems with the gas tanks. They've had holes accidentally drilled into them. And what Dennis is referencing is a recall that just went out for the Ford Maverick, where the fuel tank may have been damaged by drill holes during the installation of the spray-in bed liner. And the remedy is that the dealer inspects it and replaces it free of charge if that is needed. Now, my Maverick was in the first 2,500 built, but I do not have this issue. Even though I have the spray-in bed liner because I have the XLT luxury package, I do not have the problem of the drilled holes, which is really nice. But as we get into the vehicle, let's get into some more thoughts about the Maverick. With your questions out of the way, let's get into some of the things that I've noticed over the first 5,000 miles that I've loved, and some of the things that I have not loved about the Ford Maverick. For that, we're going to step outside. So I'm going to give you guys back the keys, and let's get going. Here you go. 5,000 miles. That is a good amount of time behind the wheel, and that has given us some opinions on the Maverick, for which I want to share with you guys. The first thing that I love about the Maverick is this engine. While it does look like there's a tube of socks under the hood, the fact of the matter is this 2.0-liter turbocharged engine has served me well over the first 5,000 miles. The high 270-plus torque figure and the 250-plus horsepower number have been a blast to drive, making on-ramps super easy and just passing being very efficient as well. And speaking of efficiency, I've averaged about 26 miles to the gallon with my Ford Maverick over the first 5,000 miles. And that, by the way, is playing with different octanes. I've put low octane fuel in here. I think it's 85 or 87, excuse me. I've put 89 in as well, and I've put 93. And I haven't really seen many changes in performance or fuel efficiency over the course of that time. Now, as we close the hood, we get into really the second thing that I love about the Maverick, and that is the overall styling. Guys, I gotta tell you, I hit it out. I'm going to give myself props. I'm going to gas myself up here. I hit it out of the park with the spec of this thing. Cactus gray with the FX4 package, that gray on the black, even with the XLT textured grille piece and the XLT Luxe Pack painted skull caps, this thing looks freaking dynamite. Leaving the outside parking lot and just seeing the Maverick overall, seeing those black wheels, how they play with that cactus gray color, I cannot get enough. I love the design of this vehicle. I think it looks very rugged. I think it looks very truckish. I think it gets its message across, and Ford absolutely nailed how the Ford Maverick looks, especially in this cactus gray on FX4 wheel trim. Like I said, guys, I think we absolutely crushed it. These black wheels look freaking dynamite. They're one of the better OEM wheels that I've ever seen on a pickup truck, never mind something that you can get for under $30,000. Again, you got to remember that FX4 package costs $800, which is great. Another thing that I love about the Maverick is the remote start. Not only do you have the functionality of being able to use it on the remote, but you also have the ability to use it within the Ford Pass app. Now, I've never had an issue with my Maverick not remote starting with the Ford Pass app, and it has come in handy many a time. Whether I'm in a supermarket about to go to the vehicle, I'm in the checkout line and I know that it wouldn't work, I just use the Ford Pass app and it works no problem. Now, the last thing that we've talked about at length really is the interior size. I cannot get enough of how the Ford Maverick is on the inside. There is just oodles and oodles of space. But let's talk about the one thing that I don't really like about the exterior for the Ford Maverick, and that is the front headlight design. Now, for this, we're going to turn on the low beams here and go right back around the front. If you opt for an XL or XLT, you really don't get any use of that top bar, and it's as if half of the headlight is just dead weight. It's not as if it's a reflector. It's not as if it's doing anything. There's no halogen light there. Oftentimes on a base model where the elevated model has an LED, you get sort of a halogen light there in replacement. Not the case for the Ford Maverick. It's just dead weight because the high beam is that smaller piece closest to the grille that right now is not illuminated. So when you look at the front end of an XL or an XLT, you get half an LED headlight, which is nice. You get the blinker in the center, but then you just get dead weight on the top. And it is really frustrating that there's nothing going on there. Now, we'll see as the aftermarket starts to develop how those pieces can change. But for now, that's sort of what we're stuck with, which is a bit annoying from Ford's end that they did it that way. But now that we're back in the car, let's do a final summary for the Ford Maverick and its 5,000 mile update and give a brief news bit as we head into the new year. We are back inside the Maverick where we're going to go over the last couple things that I love and the last couple nitpicks that I have before we round out this video. Now, the last couple things that I love should be pretty straightforward. I'm 6 feet, 280 pounds, and I fit in here just fine. I have plenty of headroom, even with the sunroof, plenty of elbow room, even with the passenger in the front seat, and I can sit behind myself. And that's something that I can't do in a lot of SUVs, never mind small compact pickup trucks. You saw in our Santa Cruz comparison that it was a little bit tighter for me. I could still do it, but in this Maverick, it's easy. I can sit behind myself without having to adjust the seat, no problem, and that is really nice. But adjusting the seat brings me to my biggest gripe of the interior so far, aside from the wind noise, which you can sort of excuse because of the price point of the truck, but that is memory seats. And I know this sounds stupid, I know this sounds random, but guys, I've driven Civics and Corollas and Mitsubishis that have had memory seats and have all been cheaper than the Maverick. So before you come at me and tell me, hey T, they got to keep the price down somehow, so that's why they're not including memory seats. No.
I released a video this week that Ford is increasing the price of the Maverick so they can include a little memory seat action, okay? When I'm getting into the car after my 5'5" fiance gets out of the car, all right, I got to adjust my seat, and I never find the same position that I left it in before she was driving the car. And that's not a knock on her at all. I want us both to experience the amazing machines that we have at all times, but that is just to say that I would wish there was a way where I could program the seat that I had and program the seat that she has such that we both knew that whenever we got into the car, we were most comfortable. And you see, guys, Ford is raising the prices for all Maverick packages except the XL. So that means that they should be able to add that functionality to something like an XLT luxury package or a base Lariat. There's no reason why that functionality shouldn't be there on the XLT with the luxury package if you're spending $2,500. But with all that wrapped up, I want to thank everybody for their continued support to the MoneyShift YouTube channel. The growth has been insane, and that is all thanks to you guys. We are pushing along, and the growth is wild, and I have no one but you guys to thank. Thank you so much for that. As we go into 2022, we're going to continue the momentum. The MoneyShift ethos is all about providing video documentation for people that are interested in a machine. We want to break down packages. We want to break down options. We want to break down your questions that you have when you're interested in purchasing a vehicle, just to make that process easier. I've had a lot of folks that can read what an XLT luxury package is, but seeing it in video has been very helpful. So we want to make this blueprint for a bunch of other vehicles. So at some point, the Maverick might just have to go, but that'll make way for a couple interesting vehicles where we can keep this sort of blueprint of automobile files alive, and I hope to have you all with us and support us as we continue to do so. So with that, hope everyone had a great 2021 with health, with happiness, and with everything that you asked for, but I hope 2022 is even better. And I know I might be releasing a video before 2022 gets here, but just in case we don't, Happy New Year to you all, and I hope next year is your best year yet. MoneyShift out.